a rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but the beauty a rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but a rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful.
Welcome you guys to the 13th episode of the Level Up Lounge. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you watching this or listening to this on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, whatever platform you're listening to this on. And actually, I had shot this episode already. It's a reshot, or I reshot this video because the last video that I had, and trust me, it was a good video, but I shot it in slow motion and the quality was horrible. Everything about it was horrible, and I did not want to do that to you guys, so I had to reshoot it. And let's just hope this episode is as good as the other one, but it's all good. We're here to learn, we're here to grow. I am not a camera person at all, so I'm figuring this stuff out. And let's just get straight to the episode. And for the 13th episode of the Level Up Lounge, what we're going to talk about today, and it's another book we're going to go over. And this book actually helped me out so much that I think it's a book that can really guide you and help you discover some truth within yourself. And this book that we will be going over today is by Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. Now, some of you might know who Napoleon Hill is. He's a huge impact player in the industry of self-development, of innovation, of just honestly just the world. Napoleon Hill actually wrote the book called Think and Grow Rich, and he wrote that book in, I believe it was 1938. Yeah, 1938 he wrote that book, Think and Grow Rich. If you don't know what that book is, you should definitely read that. I think it's still to this day top 10 personal development books out there, and something you definitely should add to your bag. So what's crazy about this book right here, so he wrote Think and Grow Rich in 1938. A year later, he wrote this book, Outwitting the Devil. But the crazy part is 1938, a year later, 1939, 1940, he wanted to release his book. But for some reason, this book wasn't released until 2011. And that is, I don't even know how many years that the enemy, aka the devil, did not want the public to put their hands on this book. And that's exactly why I want to share it with you guys, because this book has so many secrets of how the enemy, aka the devil, how he works and how he affects us in our lives to belittle us and to have us in our little comfortable comfort zone, and ultimately preventing us from being who we should be. This book holds the secrets, I believe, to what it means to vanish your fears, to vanish criticism, and any negative energy just in general. This book does talk about the devil, and it's more like a negative energy type thing. And if you're not a believer, that's totally okay, but you have to understand that there is negative energy out there. There's energy to put you down. Let's say you're in a toxic relationship that's not healthy, it's not good for you. You can actually feel that in your body, that you are slowly draining. Your energy is nowhere to be found. You start getting grumpy. You start, so many negative thoughts starts happening because now you're speaking the language of the enemy. Remember, I use enemy, aka devil. I always say enemy. You guys know that. What the book is essentially about is Napoleon Hill, quote unquote, had a conversation with the enemy. And it's kind of like a back and forth type thing where he was asking questions of how he controls society and what roles does he play in our lives to prevent us from being the person we should be. Right, so off the rip, that's already something that caught my eye when I read the book, or in the beginning of the book. But just letting you know, I'm going to put the link down in the bio to purchase the book on Amazon or whatever. So the conversation between Napoleon Hill and the enemy goes along these lines, and I'm going to start bringing up some points of the book that I really helped me, that impacted me so much, that can help you out and help you defeat the enemy in your own way in whatever battles you're fighting. And yeah, so we're going to go straight into it. So core lesson number 1 that Napoleon Hill talks about is defining your own purpose. We've talked about this before on my podcast, but everybody needs a purpose, because a purpose means you have direction, you have a place to go, you know where you're going, you have a game plan, right? Let's say you have a favorite football team and your football team does not have a game plan when they're going to go up against their opponents. If you don't have a game plan to win the game, your team is most likely not going to win. And this falls along the same lines of having a purpose. When you have a purpose, you have a reason to wake up. You have a duty to yourself and for your people, and if you're a believer, for the man upstairs, to get stuff done, because this is your true purpose, your true mission. And when you don't have a purpose, you kind of go with the flow. And I am a huge preacher of not going with the flow. So when you go with the flow, and in fact, you're probably being influenced by some external force, whether that may be your parents, your boss, social media, TikTok, Instagram, I don't know, whatever it may be. When you don't have a purpose with no direction, if you don't have something to stand for, then you will naturally fall for everything else around you. You are easily influenced by content, by what other people might say about you. You know, you don't have that North Star. You don't have that direction of, okay, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, and this is where I'm going. And I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I will figure it out eventually. Right? Napoleon Hill talks about that, about having that purpose. Everybody needs a purpose in this life, so you can have a direction, you can have a game plan to get where you want to be. And honestly, I feel like purposes is not, it's not a 1 year, 2 year thing you can figuring out your purpose, because that requires some digging within. But I think a purpose is something you chase for a lifetime. It's the ultimate hunt for a human. And it's something that everybody should embark on this journey, on this hunt, because we need to. Humans are meant to thrive on achieving different things, achieving greatness. I mean, that's exactly why I'm talking to you through this camera and through this microphone, because somebody had the idea in their head and they fulfilled their mission, and now we're talking through their creation. And that's the reason why civilization kind of advanced, because people were willing to pursue their potential and find out what that funny feeling, that gut feeling inside of them were telling them. And that's what I inspire you guys to do through this podcast, through my content, through everything I put out, is to wake that up, to light that fire in you and find out what you're meant to do here. And Napoleon Hill talks about having that purpose and having a clear vision of that. So when you have a purpose, you have to have a game plan. And when we have a game plan, you have to have little tasks, little goals to achieve where you want to be, right? So let's say you have your purpose, you have something in mind, you have a goal. Now you need to backtrack that goal into bite-sized pieces so you can achieve it on a daily basis. As we said in previous podcast episodes, we are winning slowly. We're building up our momentum so we can eventually get on the winning side of the universal scoreboard. And that goes into our next topic, which is, he mentions something called hypnotic rhythm. So hypnotic rhythm is something, there's two sides of this hypnotic rhythm. There is the positive side and the bad side. The positive side, he calls them non-drifters. The bad side, he calls them drifters. So before we go into that purpose, or that the qualities of both sides, I'm gonna list the qualities of a drifter, and then we'll go through them, and then so on and so forth with the non-drifter. So the drifter, what I have listed here is, a drifter is someone who lacks purpose. They allow fear and doubt to overtake their thoughts. They play the victim mentality, meaning the victim card. Why me? Why does the world have to punish me? Inconsistent habits, negative influences, avoidance of responsibility, and short-term thinking. Take a second right now to reflect on your own head with your own thoughts and see, if any of these things resonate with you. Have you been doing any of these things? Have you been inconsistent with some habits that you told yourself you wanted to achieve this year? Or are you avoiding some responsibilities that you need to get done and you need to get it done, but you decide to put it aside because you have time? Or if fear and doubt is controlling your life and shoving you away into your comfort zone. Fear and doubt, and that's probably the biggest thing Napoleon talks about. One of the devices that the enemy uses to get into our head and prevent us from being the person we should be. Fear is the number one reason why people do not become the person they're supposed to be. Fear of criticism, fear of what other people might say, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. I truly believe fear paralyzes people into their comfort zone, where they decide not to step out into the unknown. They decide not to approach that person because they don't know what they might say. So many ways fear can come into your life and control you. Think about it right now. Another pause or reflection moment. How has fear played a role in your life? And when has it stopped you from opportunities coming your way? These are questions you need to ask yourself on a daily basis. Am I allowing fear to step in and take me away from my true self? Or am I living in faith where opportunities do come, but first I need to jump? And that's something that you need to take away, and something that I had to learn myself is you are either living life through fear or through faith. These are two different types of people, two different types of ways of living, two different minds. Because a mind of faith is open to opportunities, is open to failing and learning and growing into whatever is out there is meant for them. If you live in fear, you don't take these risks. You don't make decisions that could possibly set you up for success, because fear has hijacked your mind and shoved you into your comfort zone. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. He wants you to live in fear so he can control you through fear. Faith is all about not knowing what's going to happen, but is willing to find out what's on the other side. Because on the other side, that's where good things happen. And that's a very, very hard bridge to cross. But if you're listening to this podcast, you're the type of person that should be crossing over to that other side, should be taking these risks to find out if this is meant for you. When you live life with faith, there's meaning behind your actions. There's meaning behind your life when it comes to taking these risks and finding out what your true treasure is. Only the ones who have the courage to take these steps will reap the fruits, will see the other side. And Napoleon talks about this so much, about living through faith, not letting fear dictate your life. Because too many people, according to Napoleon in the book, the enemy controls 98% of the people through fear. Please don't let that be you. And please understand that life is too short for you to live in fear and not do the things you want to do just because somebody might say something, or it might be a little too hard or difficult. Guys, you guys have to understand that if there has to be struggle in order for you to have meaning. You are going to do hard things in life anyways. It's either going to be doing hard things to stay afloat, just to get by, live an average life, or you're going to do hard things trying to be successful, give you and your family a life that they never seen before. Things are going to be hard. Life's hard. And that's why I try my best to equip you guys with knowledge like this book, my previous content, of trying to build yourself and get yourself ready for what life has to offer and what life has to throw at you. Everyone's getting hit with the same balls, the same curve balls, fastballs, but it's just who's the batter? Who's the one at bat? Are they going to strike out, or are they going to hit it out the park? And that's where self-development comes into play, where you prepare yourself for those moments. You understand they're coming and you smile at it and you just roll with it. Versus someone else, they'll panic, and how Napoleon says, they play the victim card. Why me? There's two different types of people. And all those qualities that we went over are qualities of a drifter. Now, the qualities of a non-drifter is somebody who has a purpose, somebody who's self-confident, somebody who's resilient, disciplined, consistent, a positive influence, embracing responsibility, and has a long-term vision. Now, a lot of those things speak for themselves. So, moment of reflection. What about them resonate with you? What can you take away from that maybe you should implement in your life or you are already doing? Ask these questions. As I said, ask these questions to get to know yourself better, to realize where you're at, be more aware of what you're doing on a daily basis. And a big thing on that list that I don't emphasize enough, but it's just about being disciplined and mastering self-discipline for yourself. Discipline equals freedom. When you have discipline, you have control of your life now. And it's not only being disciplined with your goals and your business, or with your homework, with your job. It's about being disciplined in all areas of your life. Disciplined enough to not eat a McDonald's Happy Meal. Disciplined enough to meal prep and eat something healthy. Disciplined enough to say, no, I'm not going to go out and stay in and read a book. Disciplined enough to say no to the friends that don't serve you. And stay disciplined to the people and the groups and environments that energize you and keep you on track. When you're able to stay disciplined to life's chaos, I promise you that you are going to win most of the battles. But discipline is something that you accumulate, that you develop over time, and it comes through practice every single day. If you have discipline, I truly believe it's the glue that holds the whole ship, the whole craft together. Mastering discipline is something that you need to figure out, something that I definitely can help you out with. So DM me, message me, whatever you want to do. I am open to helping you out with this. And the little quote I have here related to discipline is, the mind is nothing but a sum total of one's habits. And you guys know that I'm a big habit guy, and habits are only built through discipline. And once you get enough habits rolling, you get on the right side, the good side of hypnotic rhythm, then we are going to see some changes in your life. Because now you're not operating on fear. We're operating on faith. We're operating on what's for me? What can I do with what I have right now? What's my purpose? When you start asking these questions, you start thinking for yourself. And Napoleon Hill is a big preacher about free thinkers. society. And he even mentions in the book how school is, it's kind of part of the enemy's plan, because in school it doesn't encourage you to think for yourself. It just gives you books and has you memorize it and for a test, and then you take the test and you don't even remember what you took because you just studied for that time. Doesn't stick with you. What Napoleon preaches about is just, it's thinking for yourself. Do your own research. Allow life to be your teacher. Be a student. Be intentional with learning. Be intentional with lessons. Be intentional with failures and how you can add it to your bag, so the next time it comes around, you already been through that park. And that's the type of approach you need to have when it comes to just life in general. Napoleon Hill talks about in detail about everything we're speaking about, and I really encourage you guys to buy this book. As again, I am going to put the link in the bio, so you guys definitely have to check that out. Another core lesson of this book, and this will be the last one, is the power of association and the role of positive thinking. The power of association is so strong, you guys. You are the average of the 5 people you hang around with. Your people, your friends, play a huge part of where you're going to be in the future. If you surround yourself with winners who only think about business, about relationships, about the next move, 5-10 year plans, and constantly thinking about this, you are naturally going to rub off of that energy, and so you're going to start thinking like them, moving like them. If you hang around people who are not thinking so long term, they're very short term, they're going with the flow, they're not taking responsibility, they are just on autopilot, you will be on autopilot. You will start thinking like them. You will start not having big goals because you put yourself in this little box that you think this is your world. You think this is all you can do, but in reality, when you hang out with someone who's very successful, they shatter your world because they see a different perspective of how success is. Power association is so strong, you guys. You have to be cautious of who you spend your time with and who gets your energy. Your energy is the most valuable thing you can have, so protect it. And the role of positive thinking. I talked about it a little bit on my previous episode, but there is always a good outcome in any situation and any experience that you went through. To have the discipline to understand that whatever's happening to you, whether it's negative or positive, that there is something behind this. There is a lesson to be learned. You have to keep thinking that way and trusting that there is a positive in everything. And those are 2 different types of perspective. For example, let's say there's 2 people, 2 kids. They both had parents who were alcoholics, and one of them decided to be a successful entrepreneur. The other one decided to repeat the process, repeat the same life that the parents were living. Same situation, just 2 different perspectives, because one decided to see the positive in it, to see that I am not going to fall back into my parents' pattern. And the other side, the other person thought, this is my life, this is what I know, and I'm going to stick with what I know. And they go on that path. Positive thinking is another view to find your answers. Keep the mind of a positive thinker and you will get positive answers, and you just start glowing. You just start understanding that this is a game. This is just a bunch of lessons, and how the universe works is that it keeps showing you and presenting problems over and over and over again to you until you figure it out, and then you can move on to the next level. Keep that in mind next time something happens. So we went over the top lessons that I learned from the book, and trust me, there's so many other lessons in this book that you need to pick up. As I said before, I am going to put the link in my bio to find this book so y'all can grab it yourself. and I would love to have a conversation about it. Let's text about it. Let's call. And if it's a group, then we can definitely put a kind of like a book club or something, hop on a Zoom meeting, and we all talk about it and see how it applies to our life and how we can use it to help us grow. So highly recommend this book. And a little review of what we went over today. So defining your purpose. We need a purpose. We need a direction. We need to understand where we're going, and then a game plan to follow by. And to have that game plan, we need discipline. Master self-discipline, you guys. Discipline equals freedom. Discipline will get you where you want to be, but this is something that you have to develop over time. The drifter and the non-drifters. Drifters, the people that lack purpose, have fear and doubt. They let fear run their life. Victim mentality, negative influences, avoids responsibility, and short-term thinking. A non-drifter, where you want to be, they have a purpose, they're confident, they're resilient, they have a long-term vision, and they embrace responsibility. That is the core lessons of this episode 13 of the Level Up Lounge. And I really hope I brought some value to you guys today. This is actually a book that just changed my life. It changed my life, and it can change yours if you give it a chance. I hope I left some gems for you guys. I hope you guys take on this podcast, take out the messages that I'm giving to you guys, and you guys use it in your life and apply it. And as I end off every podcast episode, well, before I go, please like and share this episode with somebody who you think might need to hear this, and you guys talk about it. You guys can reach out to me whenever you want. I am open. I am available. I love doing this. I love helping people with this information, with personal development, and I just love a good conversation when it comes to all this. So we can definitely get together and understand that I'm on your team. I'm in your corner trying to help you out. So this book is definitely one of the first steps you can take to find a different life. With that being said, as we end off every podcast episode, show love to someone, spread kindness, extend that heart to someone else that might needs it. Buy flowers for someone, buy an ice cream for someone. Be a good person. We need more good people around here, and this is the community I want to build. With that being said, I love you guys, and God bless. I'll see you next time.
A rich man's world.